Hi, I'm Lydia T. Blanco, Digital and Events Editor at Black Enterprise, and today I'm joined by Randi B, who is a diversity inclusion strategist, not just an expert, but a strategist. And today she is going to share helpful ways that you can stay motivated and encouraged during the current pandemic. Randi, thank you so much for joining us today.
Oh, you know how happy I am to be here. Anytime I'm with you, I'm good. I'm good. Thank you for having me.
Oh, you are so welcome. I know you as someone who shifts culture. Can you tell us all what it is that you do and why you are a strategist and an expert?
What do? I ensure that cultures aren't just about people showing up at work every day, but people showing up at a place where they feel like they belong, right? Like if we don't feel like we belong, we don't work. Once we feel as if we are at home in a place that we're accepted and seen and appreciated, we do better work. We're more productive, and that's been proven, right? The number one need of employees is a sense of belonging. And so I am the person that goes in and helps companies, organizations create a culture where everyone feels a sense of belonging.
That's incredible. Now, that was very humble of you. Tell us who it is that you've worked with and the climates you've been able to shift. Go ahead and name drop a little bit for us.
Out McDonald's, Comcast, AT&T. Let's see, it's my mind is in a blur. A lot of government agencies. I've been across, we've even done Department of State, which allowed us to go to different, all over the world, actually. Starwood Hotels and Resorts, which is now Marriott. Um, a lot of IT companies, been there, Glassdoor, just a lot of, just about everywhere. I feels like I've been blessed enough to have a vast experience in a variety of places. Even now, when you hear about all these talks in factories, I've been to a lot of factories in the Midwest, and worked with people there too as well. So, yeah.
And I have to ask, how has your work shifted as the pandemic hit? You are someone who goes in, you facilitate workshops, you create strategy and help companies implement it, but now everyone is at home sheltering in place. What does your work look like now?
Well, just like everybody else, I'm doing things from home. But, thankfully, video conferencing works. I did quite a bit of video conferencing before with my model. I don't even take clients on if they're not willing to sign on for the long haul, because that shows me that they are actually committed to the process of creating an inclusive environment. Back in the day, I would go in and just do one training, right? Or one training session. And that doesn't do anything. It's ineffective. And so what I do now is contractually, if you want me, I have to see a commitment, because I really do care about what I'm doing. So oftentimes I would go in several times to companies, but then we would do a lot of things by teleconference, right? Video conferences. And so it's not that different than what I'm used to, but a little bit, just a little bit. And I feel that there's also more of an effort to do activities that are a little bit lighter, because we're trying to connect with people.
Right. That's really good. Now, everyone's workday looks different. Those who are fortunate enough to still be employed,
Yes.
right? A lot of people are pivoting, a lot of people are in transition, and it's a very difficult time. What advice do you have for those who are working remotely as it relates to culture, right? It's almost like we have to create a culture of our own in our environments, but still work as a unit. So, what advice do you have for people?
One, I don't give the same advice I gave people when outside, even when we were working in normal circumstances. Manage yourself as if you're your own company, right? So what do you want people to think about you? Do you want to come off as professional? Do you want to come off as the most approachable person in your organization? How do you want to come off? And so whatever that is, continue to set that up even though you're at home. So for instance, I want everyone out there to see me as a professional, which I am, but sometimes I don't quite look like it, particularly when I'm working from home, right? And so I'm going to set the stage and say, I am a professional. I can wear a blazer, although, I may have had on pajamas 5 minutes ago. It's, some people feel as if, oh, people know I'm intelligent, I don't have to do that. No, you are still your own brand. You still have to bring that and create your environment. and continue to sell yourself and be how you want to be represented. I tell people to set a space where they feel comfortable, and that's very important. Because even people that work from home back in the day, they felt comfortable. They could go to a coffee shop or something like that. Now, when we say we're working from home, we really are working from home. So what does that look like for you? And where can you be where you don't have distractions, right? Because it's hard when you're around a whole bunch of chaos. Putting up signs, I put up signs on my door that say conducting training right now or on a session, right? So I don't have people that burst into my door, right?
That's so smart.
Because, although my kids are older, they still just sometimes don't think and will burst in and say, "Mom, can I get some Chick-fil-A? Can we order in or whatever?" I need them to know I'm doing something right now. And then even when I'm not meeting with someone like you, I will put a sign up just so I'm not disturbed, because if I'm writing something, I need that flow to continue. Right.
Yeah, that's really good. I just have to interject really quickly, because what you're saying is implement strategy and create routines.
Absolutely.
How can someone who may not have been as disciplined in their everyday life or professional life implement some discipline, right? It takes a certain level of discipline and, being able to stick with a routine in order to do what you're talking about, right? I can put up a sign, but I can
Yes.
put it up tomorrow, and then I have some big meeting and I'm like, what happened to my sign?
Right.
Give us some tips.
Well, it starts with you. I think being honest about who you are. So for a long time, I honestly would get on myself. I'm not disciplined. And, those people who do everything the exact same way every day, or they have a straight 9 to 5, I'm more of a 9 to 2. And then I want to take a break and do me. And then I'm good to do something again about 5. And then I'm the type to pick up my computer at 10, right? The luxury I have, though, is I can do that, right? I can say, so being honest with who you are. Some people say, "Oh, you must work out during the day." Well, if you're a person who works out better at night, do that. If you're a person who does emails better, your brain is more focused, the house is quiet, and you're able to do that. So be honest with who you are, how you best work, what the best routine is for you, right? And it may not be very stringent, but it's still your routine, right? So I learned I do better. For instance, I need a minute in the morning. This is what I've learned. I'm not that pop out of the bed, let's go. I need a minute. And so if that minute starts at, it's from 6 to 6:30 or 7 to 7:30 or 8 to 8:30, because I'm a fluid person, depending on, I figure in time. So I have that 30 minutes just to get my mind right for the day.
That's really good. Now, it is hard getting out of bed sometimes, right? There's so much going on. We are inundated with news around the clock. Our push notifications are going off. We're thinking about tomorrow at 2 p.m. in the afternoon. It's a lot. It's exhausting
It is.
mentally, physically, spiritually, financially, emotionally for people. How can people stay motivated and encouraged during this time?
One, have days where you're not motivated. Be human. People are going out saying, "This is your time to make all these changes and pivot and embrace this time." The main thing you want to do is come out of this pandemic whole and sane. That's what I tell myself. And there are days like yesterday, I was really feeling low about the deaths of Black men, and I was down. And that's real. And I am a human person, and I don't want to get on camera and say, "Every day I'm just so great, la, la, la." And, I do have responsibilities. I did work, but I worked from bed for the most part. I didn't take a shower till about 10 p.m. I ate poorly. I just indulged myself because I wasn't feeling that great. So some days you have to say to yourself and forgive yourself and say, there is a pandemic going on. I am under an incredible amount of stress. And then you get up the next day, like I did the next day, and you just continue to put one foot in front of the other and know that at the end it will be okay. But to really honestly be kind with yourself, while at the same time not giving up. I think there's balance to this whole thing.
I like that. Forgive yourself and be kind to yourself and put one foot in front of another.
One foot in front of the other.
Oh my goodness. You just have to take everything one day at a time.
One
Now,
moment these
one
days.
moment. You are right. One moment
Yeah.
at a time. It's
Yeah.
almost like we don't know. I mean, none of us know what tomorrow holds, right? But we just truly do not know when mandates are going to be lifted, what phase we're living in, what, days are going to be pushed back. There's just so much uncertainty. And people are also questioning, will I ever be able to go back to work? Those who are, working remotely. What are your thoughts on that? Like, do you project us going back to work anytime soon? And I know you don't have to be like the
What
expert.
what you said was deep.
Mm.
What you said was actually key. You said we never knew what tomorrow was going to bring. That's something I tell myself, because right now everything feels so uncertain that it makes you want to say, forget this. And I'm like, you know what, Randy? Nothing was certain before. Not a thing was certain, not your security in your job, not the people you're going to be around, not if you were going to be healthy the next morning. Nothing was certain before. So honestly, you really need to keep on as you were keeping on before, because there was questions then. Life throws us curveballs, right? This is a huge one, but we've been functioning with uncertainty forever, if we're honest about it.
It's true.
Right? I believe that the workforce is forever changed. I believe that there will be more working from home remotely. I think companies are going to realize that they can save a lot of money, a lot of rent, if they have employees work from home. The production numbers from what organizations are reporting are actually still higher, even though people are working from home, so they're not losing. I do believe the job market will return, but I also believe that it's important that we think about what are the needs of this new world, right? And so if you're waiting for things to turn back to normal, I think that you're in trouble. But I have been really impressed by the companies I've seen be flexible, right? So, there's some restaurants around here, 2 soul food restaurants that I've been ordering from. And they're not restaurants, they're catering companies. They do large functions. They handle all the shishi poo poo fabulous weddings and events in the area. And of course, all those events were canceled. And what I respect, though, is now they're open up, instead of waiting to have, 2 major catering events in a week, they're opened up 7 days a week, and they are feeding families. So when I want that home cooked food that I don't feel like doing, I mean, they do everything from oxtails to barbecue and it changes on the day, right? Like today we're having garlic crab and prawns. Yes. Shout out to Revine. And when you get there, the line, because they bring it out to your car, is around the corner, right? And they're delivering. I mean, they're having pickups all day. And so they didn't say, oh, this is terrible, we're stopped. They say, what's going to work now for my customers, right? And so they've still been able to hold on to many of their employees. They're still bringing money. They're still staying relevant. And actually, some of the companies I didn't know about, but I know about now, right? And so when we are able to gather again, I would hire them.
That's good.
Yeah. So in every business you have, being flexible, I think that a lot of hairstylists, for instance, are going to become mobile, because you can't sit in the hair salon maybe with 10 people, right? So maybe you become mobile, charge more money. I mean, whatever it is, what can you do? How can you change it?
I had to ask, because you're someone who works with top leaders and top companies.
Yes.
What advice do you have to leaders during this time? There are a lot of people who are not as flexible. There are people who think that they can do business as usual, even though it may not be the smartest business decision to make. What do you have to say to them as it relates to shifting culture, managing expectations, and really implementing strategy, right, to move their company forward with employees who want to move forward with them?
Right. Well, a job as a leader is to lead, right? And to provide guidance to your employees. That means connecting with your employees. What is the situation that your staff has now? How is your staff feeling? Your staff is probably feeling insecure. Your staff is learning how to work under different conditions. Your staff may be learning how to do a different job and hone in on different skills. So you have to address those things up front, right? Say up front, the environment is changing. It's always surprising to me how people will avoid certain conversations. Have the tough conversations. Be honest. Things have changed. We're concerned. This is where our financials are. This is what we know we can do for how long, right? I love the companies who came out and said, we know that we can, as we are today, that for 2 months we can pay everybody's salaries, right? Things are going to get tough this third month. This is what we may have to do. I feel more comfortable if knowing the truth than wonder like, I don't know what's going to happen. That anxiety is worse than anything. And then find ways to stay connected. That means sometimes still having all staff meetings as well as best as you can, but in one-on-one meetings with people, group meetings, and then ensuring that other people are meeting regularly and that people don't feel alone. Having wellness checks, how are you guys doing? And letting people be honest and doing it regularly. Having fun activities. There's been a whole lot of we've had some people at some of our companies say, what was the first concert you ever went to? And everybody submits questions, just things, because, we're used to interacting with people in the office place, right? And you feel a connection. It's hard to keep that going when you're not together. I've had a trivia night with another group. So it's just things like that to stay connected. I would tell leaders that the primary job is to ensure that your employees feel like they belong and that they're safe.
That is really good information. Building community during this time is extremely important as we shelter in place. And it's going to be important, right, to continue to nurture those relationships so that as we
more so
enter spaces, right, we are a cohesive unit and people feel comfortable, because there's going to be a lot of, workshopping that needs to be done when
right.
people return. Randi, you are incredible.
As are you. You know how I feel about you.
Oh my goodness. Let people know how they can stay connected with you. You offer a number of services, and it will be great for people to be able to follow up with you.
Oh, thank you. So on LinkedIn, I'm Randi Bryant, Randi Bryant, Bryant. On Facebook, I have a community over 70,000 people, and we get together and talk about all sorts of issues, specifically affecting the Black community. And that's Randi B. Instagram, it's Randi B. And then on Mighty Networks, we have a private network called Randi B. Everything's kind of Randi B. But I look forward to speaking to many people and just figuring out how we get through this time.
Thank you so much for sharing. And as we get through this time, be sure to log on to blackenterprise.com, follow us on Instagram, and stay in the know if you want to know about how COVID-19 is impacting our community. Randi, this has been incredible. Thank you so much for your time and lending your expertise.
Thank you so much for having me.